Warning: the following reaction video that I react to contains strong, censored language, violence, blood, and gore. If you are a small individual and cannot handle such content, I recommend you click away and just watch some My Little Pony episodes. But if you are sensible enough and a mature enough person that likes to respect fan parody, then this video is for you. Thank you. What's up YouTube, it's Geoffrey again. Today we're doing another reaction video, and today for our Halloween special we are reacting to the sequel of Shed 17 called Project G-1. Now since this is a horror react, I recommend, if you do not like horror stuff, I recommend you click away now. You know, to save your childhood. But don't worry, your childhood is safe. Now this is a Thomas fan parody video just like Shed 17 that I reacted to back in what was it? Summer? Yeah, I think I reacted to Shed 17 in summer, so this is like a sequel. Anyways, enough rambling of that. Let's get to the video in 3, 2, 1, and play. Okay. Right at the beginning we have a scream.
Loyalty.
We're back at Shed
honor,
17, y'all.
Respect. When you lose even one of those, you take something away from those around you. The ones you love, your friends. We let down those closest to us without ever realizing we'd done so.
Okay.
The people that didn't leave work at night.
Oh, it's the same guy that was narrating from Shed 17, you know, Keith Hartley.
They weren't subdued. They just didn't have anything to object to. By the time they realized there was a problem, it was too late.
For those who don't know who made Shed 17 and Project G-1, that would be YouTuber Paulsvids, so subscribe to Paulsvids.
We committed the worst sin of all. We just didn't listen.
Project G-1. Thomas's shell is empty, and so is the tank. Okay then. Oh, how did the military get there? Okay.
On the 6th of October 2015, the world was reintroduced to the horrors and suffering that began on a small island off the northwest coast of England.
I don't think the documentary showed anything we didn't already know.
Behind him?
People had just become desensitized to what had happened to Thomas and his friends. The reaction...
I saw this guy react to Shed 17 on YouTube. So subscribe to Mr. MPS, or ZMPS, whatever.
This young
subscribe
man
to
in the
Lionel
USA
Thomas Productions.
Become so traumatized by Shed 17, he had memorized all the
I like how it shows YouTubers reactions in a nutshell.
Mouthing the words.
The town was buzzing with news of her pregnancy.
He would later be taken away to a psychiatric unit. Many viewers would be offered similar treatment, often being asked to illustrate what scared them, and confronting it as a successful
That's some amazing artwork, by the way.
This young man began making his own model railway stories
Smith
as a form of treatment. Soon many of these people would be allowed limited access to the outside world, even beginning to form social connections to people, and in some cases, form friendships.
After the Thomas incident became public, the tourist trade began to dry up. People stopped coming to Sodor for biofusion operations, and so there were massive layoffs on the railway itself.
Numerous attempts were made to salvage the tourist trade on Sodor. Finally, in a last-ditch attempt, the railway was promoted with an ill-judged celebrity endorsement.
Okay. Jimmy Savile.
But it wouldn't just be young people suffering. Many would suffer trauma in their own way, both human and biofused. With the documentary came the public outcry and the media's need for a scapegoat.
The Goetze family were in hiding. The fat c*** had vanished with all his money, and there I was, in full public view, being blamed for the whole thing.
Do you want to apologise, person? Frankly, you should know better than that.
Okay, so it came out of the back this time.
I was finally given the chance to tell my side of the story on national television, tell people what actually happened, and acquit myself in the eyes of the public.
Mr. Hartley, are you to blame for the events on Sodor Island?
Well, let me tell you, I am not.
I am totally to blame for what happened to Thomas and all his friends, and I do it again tomorrow.
Wow, what a lie.
Last time I go
What a
on
lie.
Channel 4.
But the public outcry would bring an anonymous whistleblower
Anonymous
out into the
whistleblower?
light. Someone who would reveal more facts about the events on Sodor Island, both before and after the Thomas incident.
I worked closely on the television series in the early 80s. So I was
Yeah, the reason why
around
they
the
do
80s
that
at
to
all times.
preserve the
It's
anonymity
only
is to
now,
keep the
after I
voice,
can't make
the
a
true voice a
difference to those
mystery.
engines' lives, that I've heroically decided to speak.
As the
that
government
Margaret
finally
Thatcher?
relented and shut down the whole biofusion
Margaret
operation
Thatcher.
on Sodor, a tragic dilemma faced the scientists.
Some people were still in the biofusion process. Being in process is the last place anyone wants to be. They had to complete their procedures quickly, or they'd be left to die.
That meant turning them into the simplest form of life that existed.
Trucks?
Particularly the faceless ones, rarely had the brain capacity to retain long-term memory.
Who would want to
They
be a
were the
troublesome
lucky
truck?
ones.
I mean, seriously.
I can't imagine a worse hell than being a truck. Fortunately, most of them didn't live long.
Dang. Now I understand why.
The biological organs' exposure to the open world meant an increased risk of infection and slow, painful death. Fearing being shut away forever, some trains would seek opportunity elsewhere. Chris Duck Dixon and Oliver Surname's
If you can't
dream
find a perfect
was
name
to
for
work
a
on the
last name,
famous
just
Sodor
leave the surname
Railway.
a surname.
They were childhood friends who shared the same love of trains. They'd made a pact to become engines. Sadly, it came too late.
The ban on biofusion came into effect just after Oliver and Duck were looking forward to working on the railway.
When it looked as though they would be locked away forever, the Japan Railway Group offered them work on their railway.
Duck and Oliver jumped at the chance. The travel was paid for by the Japanese railway, and they couldn't wait to be there.
Unfortunately, arriving in Tokyo, Duck and Oliver would find that, under Japanese law, they weren't recognised as human beings, and so had no rights at all. They would soon learn their true
Mattel. So, what are they gonna do?
They,
Play a game?
along with other engines
Chicken?
unfortunate enough to fall into this trap, were to take part in a sick pay-per-view event.
And they both possess a similar height and reach.
That's pretty cool. Transformers.
Fitted with pneumatic joints, stabilizers and supports, they were ready for the main event.
Right, left, uppercut.
Dang.
Nice shot. Both men landing in that exchange.
Why is his head on fire?
Make some money! Come on!
Childhood friends, eh?
They both knew this was a battle to the death, so they had to put their friendship aside. There was only one way to survive.
So it was like a kill or be killed event. Okay then. Press F to pay respects to Oliver. And you realize what you've done. I mean, if I had to kill my friend in a fight to the death, I'd feel bad too.
Other engines would welcome opportunities offered by the British government.
The British government had banned the use of biofusion publicly, but couldn't ignore the military opportunities. Selling war to the world
Hit
was too
logistics?
profitable.
Hit Logistics was the military contractor secretly tasked with continuing the work Sodor research had begun.
Also,
The
continuing
first task
biofusion.
was finding as many engines as possible.
Biofused material had become rare, and Hit Logistics immediately recruited people to hunt down as many decommissioned engines as possible.
One was an old colleague we all called friend.
Oh, it's Professor Owen Ruth.
Even when he was being interviewed for the Shed 17 documentary, he was neck deep in secret government research. His biggest dream was much more sinister.
Project G-1 was Professor Owen Ruth's dream, the breaking down of biofused matter to their very cells, and then deprogramming them.
Engine remains being reused to form anything they wanted.
Ein die Projekt. These cells have their DNA instructions removed. Biofuel stem cells, which can then adapt and assume any form necessary.
Wonder where did they get all
It
the,
is for this
the
purpose
microscopic cell
they have
footage
begun making
for this video?
extensive research into twins.
Twins.
Annie Clarabella and Kevin Diesel had met as rail enthusiasts,
So I guess that's
fallen in love,
Annie
and gotten married
/
within
Clarabelle,
weeks of
and that's
meeting.
Diesel.
The next step in their eyes was to become biofused.
It was the most romantic thing in their eyes. He would become an engine, she a coach, and they would ride the rails together.
Oh, it's
Kevin
Diesel.
became his namesake, a sleek black diesel engine.
It was Annie's operation where things didn't go to plan.
Okay,
As
why
Annie's
is Diesel
cells were
able to
being
run but Mavis
reprogrammed,
wasn't?
They split
Explain
in the
that.
early stages of the operation, and two coaches were created, although these twins were far from identical.
Yeah, something's wrong
People
with Clarabelle.
started to notice
Oh,
just
Bill
how
Ben,
many
Donald
twins
Douglas,
were being
Larry
created
Dodge,
on the island,
Bash and Dash.
but the questions were brushed
Harry
off
Burke.
or ignored.
All those
In an
twins,
effort to
the
deflect
characters.
criticism, Annie and Clarabelle, the first two
I can understand
biofused
that the
coaches,
smiling one is
were
Annie,
put into
and
service
I guess
straight away.
Clarabelle's the deformed
Everyone
one.
was very excited. No one seemed to ask about where all the
Wait,
organic parts
Are
were
the organs
in
in
the
the
coach.
seats? There's something suspicious about
All
those
about
chairs.
those luxurious, expensive pink
Yep.
leather furnishings.
I knew it. This is why I warn you kids to look away if you don't like blood
I
guard.
don't even want to tell you what they found in the toilets.
Okay then.
Following this disaster, Annie and Clarabelle would be kept out of the public gaze. One would stay with her husband, the other
that's a
sent
life
away
choice
to
for
hit
Diesel.
logistics. Diesel was
Choose the one
forced to
you
make
want.
a heartbreaking choice. Which of these ladies to spend the rest of his life with?
It must have taken him all of 2 seconds.
Of course he would choose Annie.
For Annie, a lifetime with her husband, hidden away from the public gaze. For Clarabelle, the safety and care of Hit Logistics.
You think Hit Logistics is safe? I don't think so.
Hit Logistics weren't just interested in how twins were created, it was the abilities they had because of it.
The telepathic links between
telepathic
twin
link.
engines was found to be incredibly powerful.
Oh, I get it. If a telepathic link is
Psychic
basically,
links found in natural twins is
telepathic links is
profoundly
basically
more
if
powerful
one twin
in
gets hurt, then the
biofuels
other twin feels that
vehicles.
same pain.
Of course, essentially, these are the same
Like I
person.
said, what Owen
Hit
said,
Logistics
it's the
would
same
use
person.
what they had learned to work on duplication. A volunteer
Military.
soldier could be biofused exponentially, creating copies of those cells.
What?
Think
Military's
of it,
planning on being
a
biofused as well.
willing human participant, not just controlling a weapon, but becoming the weapon. Able to react to danger
Oh.
and orders in a fraction of the time.
To maintain the secrecy of these illegal experiments, the soldiers' faces would be covered up, so that the only giveaway was a cry of discomfort when a vehicle was damaged or a tank shell was fired.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this scene is pretty funny.
But Professor Ruth wanted to take these experiments further, to duplicate his deprogrammed cells to assimilate any biofused matter it made contact with, to assume any form of any size.
Think of the possibilities. A weapon dropped into a city that can take any form it wishes and adapt any organic material it finds. Whole communities of people removed and left empty for
Okay.
occupation. Stage 1 is the secure storage of biofused genetic matter in
What's
stasis.
stage 2?
Stage 2 will involve the release
Oh,
of
it's
this
the release of
material. In secure conditions, of course. To release this material in an uncontrolled state would be
Yeah,
disastrous.
seriously.
There was nothing they wouldn't try in that place, even experimenting with mirrors.
Mirror experiments.
As well as mirror testing, work on twins would become more extreme, to test just how far the telekinetic link in biofused matter would go.
Dang.
For one
that
set of
pressure
twins,
chamber?
the link would go
No.
too far. Whilst unseen horrors
Why
were
are you playing
administered on
Donald in the pressure
the
chamber?
doctors and specialists at Hit Logistics could observe in full detail the torture as an unbreakable bond with his twin would tear
Douglas?
Douglas apart.
Jesus. Well, looks like Hit Logistics
Hit
just
Logistics would also be
that-
seen as
one
a
of the
welcome
trains.
refuge from another threat on Sodor.
Steamies, we called them. They started out as rail
Steamies.
enthusiasts, train spotters. They loved engines, but
I guess
where
those
was
are
the harm in
fans.
that? But when living engines were introduced on Sodor, they couldn't get here
Sounds like-
fast enough.
Most were seen as enthusiastic volunteers on the railway, some getting permanent jobs.
Now the Steamies' obsession with engines had a new, darker place to vent their frustrations.
Sounds like part of the Brony fandom.
James was a favourite engine.
Please note, I am a Brony, but I'm
Sometimes
not
every
dark
night
side
for
Brony
weeks,
of the
they'd
dark web.
gather
I'm
at
a
the
good Brony.
turntable and play Spin the Engine.
Thank God that scene was cut out. Oh, you didn't know there was a deleted scene where James was tickled by one of those steamy people.
This security footage, hidden by Sodor research until now, shows Gordon desperately
Gordon.
pretending he
thought
couldn't
he
fit on the
exploded.
turntable. But James was always the favourite, even to the television writers.
James's driver and fireman were feeling him all over.
But I had nothing to do with any of that
Wait, what?
business. Not after the
what do you
first
mean?
time.
With the closure of the railways, the engines were hidden away, and the Steamies would go underground and bide their time.
And it would be 30 years and a new documentary
Cheapskate free
before
editor.
anyone
Even though
cared.
that Shed 17 would.
Before anyone asked, why did this
More
happen?
artwork.
Where were the engines? And what can we do about any of it?
With protests aimed at the government and hit
Protest.
logistics,
James
the
and Edward.
destruction of the
Oh, you
evidence
got
was
the
speeded
stuff.
up.
Oh no. Great.
Unnecessary engines would be incinerated quickly and brutally.
As easy as signing a form, ticking a box, or waving a flag, the engines we knew and loved were murdered in the most efficient way possible.
Okay then. I bet Rarity's gonna feel
But
bad
it
that
would be the
James got
most
melted in this
insignificant death of all
like movie.
that would have the most devastating effect. Not
What?
any transport
Toby,
to tip
Kevin,
logistics,
Crane, and Merlin.
but the one
Wait, why is
nobody
Merlin
witnessed,
smiling?
except for one.
They'd spent 30 years together, just looking into each other's eyes, forgotten by us all, and as happy as any of us could ever hope to be.
Why do I have a feeling something bad's gonna happen?
As Clarabelle was disposed
So
of,
Clarabelle was killed
no
off in
one
the
but
same way as
Diesel
James and
knew what
Edward.
happened to her twin, nearly 20 miles away.
Annie, my love, what's wrong? What's the matter? What's happening? Annie, please.
And why is Andy screaming like the irresponsible, like, lady from Happy Wheels?
Stay.
Oh dear
Stay
God.
with me. Stay with me. No.
The eyes roll up Jones thing. My favorite person. Damn.
But it wasn't over for Diesel. He had to get out. As terrible as seeing his wife perish was, the worst was yet to come.
If I were Diesel, I would have been sad. Seeing that happen. Heck, if I had a wife that perished like that right in front of my eyes, I would probably have Diesel's reaction as well.
No.
I feel bad for Diesel.
No.
Press F to pay respects to Diesel. Come on, Diesel, get out of there. Ooh, it looks like he's losing it. He's mad. He's mad.
This is all your fault. You'll never laugh at me again. The rights of biofused engines will be ignored no more. The secrets of Sodor will be revealed. The state-sponsored torture of engines must be stopped.
This is basically like
Diesel would
a
form
standard
the Sodor
protest
Liberation
against
Front.
those, like,
His dream was to make Sodor Island a home for engines and other transport, free from the tyranny of human beings.
Talk about protest.
And we will not stop until the island of Sodor is recognized as a refuge for all engines.
So Diesel wants the engines to be free from the torture.
The remains of the engines would be disposed of.
So,
The remains
yeah.
of Hit Logistics would be moved off-site to a quarry in the Blue Mountains of
Mountain
Sodor.
Quarry.
6,000 pounds of desiccated biofused matter. Its location, the real mystery. And tending to this top-secret site, was the
Ferdinand?
only engine in the UK still being illegally
Ferdinand.
operated.
Oh, we can get him to do pretty much anything we want to. You know, a bit of the black stuff.
Goat laugh.
This undercover footage reveals how Ferdinand was being forced to work, controlled by his addiction to Welsh coal.
That's right.
You gonna work for it? Do you want some of this? We used Welsh coal to get the weaker engines started up, to give some engines a kick when they were struggling to
basically
get up
drugs.
in the morning. We never realised all the
Don't do
effects it
drugs,
was having on
kids.
some engines.
Here the coal, man. No? Now what are you looking at me for? Oh, let's all look at funny engine. Is that right? Let's all look at the funny engine. You don't look at the funny engine.
Welsh coal acted as a narcotic
Like I
on
said,
the engines.
the Welsh coal is a
Prolonged use would
narcotic,
lead
I
to
assume.
addiction and dependency.
Don't do drugs, kids.
As Welsh coal addiction became a bigger and bigger problem, dependency increased on the set of the television series.
No, you'll never win first prize, Percy moaned.
That face, man!
One morning, Gordon was in the yard taking...
Oh my god, even Gordon too!
That's the third load of coal you've had today, Gordon. So I'd say you're being rather greedy.
Increasingly, engines would cause what appeared to be accidents.
I can tell where this is
but
going.
in fact were attempts to get exposed to Welsh coal. But prolonged use would result in permanent
Don't
brain
do
damage.
drugs, kids!
Dealers on the set, violence among the actors. We knew there were a problem when Gordon started talking to the voice in his head, telling him to
Gordon.
do things.
What are you gonna do now?
Bad things.
Yes, said Gordon, I will.
Day!
Hit Logistics would later take Welsh coal research to its natural conclusion. High-speed steam engines would be pushed to their limit on high doses of the coal.
Dang!
As pressure from the media increased, and fearing more bad press, Project G-1 was put on hold, its future uncertain. Stage 1 stored away in what Professor Ruth called a controlled environment.
He dug his own grave, appearing in that documentary, as well as working at Hit Logistics. But he didn't see anything wrong in that. And so, just like everyone else, he blamed me for everything, even Smudger.
Smudger's story had been a children's favourite around the world.
Smudger worked on the Mid-Sodor Railway.
Smudger's so
The
underrated.
mining engines worked on didn't make much, but it was enough
Like,
to keep
he
them
only
going.
appeared in one episode in Thomas and
Smudger
Friends,
was moved
and he
there
was never
because
heard of
his
since.
faults. His wheel alignment was off, meaning he'd come off the rails too often.
This is true facts. He derailed
Unfortunately,
and became a
the
generator.
cash-strapped mine company
I actually saw the
couldn't afford
episode
the
Grandpa
repairs.
from season
Their
4.
solution would be barbaric.
They dismembered him, taking away his wheels and opening him up. The butchers turned him into a steam generator.
Shut off from all sensation, Smudger powered the mind for many years. Alone with his thoughts, he would slowly lose his mind.
Yeah, I'd lose my
When
mind
business
as well.
dried up, do you think they come back for Smudger? Did they, hell? He were left there for years. Everyone had forgotten him. In a way,
Feel
it
bad
would have
for the
been
poor
better
guy.
for Smudger if he'd been forgotten forever.
Sadly, for Smudger, salvation would arrive, but in the form of hit logistics.
There's also a deleted
Professor
scene
Ruth
where
was still eager to
Smudger
find
gets
as much
quote-unquote
biofused
tickled
material
by
as
one
he
of those
could.
steamies as well, so
Smudger
I'm not sure
had
if I'm going to
changed
do a
over
reaction to
time.
that.
Smudger had remained in the same place for nearly 30 years.
Oh no.
His organic parts were no longer just part of a steam engine. They had become shed.
Smudger and the shed were one and the same.
No.
They couldn't be removed.
Hey, no, please, wait, no, please, no, oh God, no, 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 please, wait, no, please, no, God, no, no.
Cranky?
This would be the final act of hit logistics.
I don't know what happened to Smudger.
Closing down all their research and
I'm just gonna assume
destroying
Smudger
evidence.
died in this.
Soon, there would be nothing
Press
left
F
to even
to pay
prove
respects to
their
all the dead
existence.
engines.
That was what they hoped. They didn't count on one final desperate act.
What? Well, Cranky? Huh, looks like Cranky's on the protester side now.
Cranky had been driven mad by all the things he'd seen working for the government. But the worst thing was having to keep it quiet for
Yeah,
all
I
those
guess
years.
Cranky was like, screw it.
Unfortunately, Cranky's genetic structure meant he couldn't turn around fully, not without breaking the entire circulatory system to his head. Effectively, he was condemning himself to a painful death.
Okay then.
I believe Cranky knew the consequences, and he knew it had to be done.
But his wouldn't be the only sacrifice that day.
Diesel?
I don't believe he was evil, or that he wanted to kill anyone. He just wanted to show the world what the government was trying to cover up. He didn't know what was in there, or the damage he'd do.
Uh-oh.
Diesel had veered into the now secured stasis container of Project G Stage 1. Opening it up and allowing the deprogrammed biofused matter to assimilate any matter it wished, and to take on any form it wished.
Whoa! Uh-oh, that's... You better run. Whatever's inside of that tube, it's alive and it's pissed off. You shouldn't have looked in the mirror, man. You're dead.
I looked in the mirror, lads. Lads.
Dead.
Any biofused engines in there didn't stand a chance. They were dragged into the canister.
There goes Toby, Kevin, and Merlin. But what is that thing? Well, we'll just have to find out.
And then we all got to see it in its natural state.
Alive. Well, we're all left. Oh my crap. Spinning train. Cloverfield train, if you will.
reality of the situation sunk in, government forces were deployed. This would be the only line of defense.
I don't think bullets are gonna work. Tanks won't work either. Bullets won't work, General.
But Project G-1 was more than capable of defending itself.
There's the remains of Percy.
And would take whatever action was necessary.
Take cover! Percy's
Okay, so it's a Scorpion. Or something.
Gordon's alive!
It could now not be stopped. As it forged ahead, it became clear where its goal was. More biofused cells, more life, more engines. It had to assimilate cells to grow, to live, to spread. Blue Mountain Quarry. The site of
So that's where it's
thousands
going.
of tons of dead, desiccated biofused matter, hidden from the outside world. A rich source of matter which would make Project G-1 indestructible.
Yeah, and then we pretty much all be effed.
It were drawn here to be with its own kind, the last vestiges of Sodor's engines. It was trying to
It
find
wants peace and freedom, I assume.
Realizing
Peace and
Project
tranquility.
G1's destination
Wait,
and
what's-
intent,
what's inside there?
the military provided it
What's in
with
that
what it was looking
truck?
for.
Trailer. It's opening up. What's that?
The last engine whose fate everyone had asked about for years.
Thomas. Wait, Thomas? Thomas is alive. So I guess that's what it looks like after all those reconstructive operations that we saw about learning in Shed 17.
After 28 operations to try and reconstruct him as a human being, he had remained behind closed doors, unwilling until now to show the world the monster he had become.
That wasn't the Thomas I knew.
You're
That
standing
wasn't
right
an
behind
engine
him.
Or a human. It were a creature mutilated by surgeons and engineers alike.
Unable to react to the outside world at this stage, Thomas was the last chance the military had to stop Project G1.
But how? Huh?
Finally, the nightmare
Aw.
were over. Thomas had found the remains of his friends. His friends had found him. Sodor Island's favourite sons would finally be at peace.
Okay, what did that accomplish? Seriously, what did that accomplish, military people? I don't think that was a good idea.
The mystery of the Blue Mountain had been solved. 6,000 tons of desiccated, dehumanized biofused matter, hidden in full view. And now used as a weapon.
Boulder? Hey, it's Boulder from the episode Rusty and the Boulder. Dear, Thomas is not happy now. Is he doing a Godfather 3 reference? Yeah, he is. It's music from The Godfather 3. Screw you, General Audrey. Memories. Memories of Thomas and Gordon.
This was the military's plan all along. There was never any intention to allow them some kind of peace. And with that, Thomas lost his only link to the past. Now all that's left is his reanimated pneumatic body, a confused mind that lost everything. With his past the only thing left to torment him, Thomas decided to leave. He'd seen everything. The last people he trusted had abandoned him, but I was still here to tell his story. After all the betrayal, disloyalty and torment, I could still say I were his only friend, the only person who hadn't abandoned him. I could hold my head up high and say I was
What? What's Thomas doing? Thomas has gone rogue. Thomas.exe confirmed. Or maybe Timothy the Ghost Train confirmed? In 2021, Sodor Island was officially recognized as a biofuels-only compound. In 2032, a referendum was called on the island to decide whether Sodor would be seceded from the United Kingdom and become its own country. By almost 98%, the entrance of Sodor Island voted to leave the United Kingdom. By 2040, all diplomatic ties between Sodor Land and the United Kingdom were all cut off. Since then, no human was set foot on Sodor, and no biofusion engine has set contact with the outside world.
Okay.
Wait, Keith's alive? Keith Hartley is alive?
Keith. Stay with me now. Stay with me now.
How can you survive being ripped in half? That's not
That will
possible.
not be necessary.
How do you get in here, Owen?
Who is this man? What's he
How
doing
did Owen
here?
Ruth get in here?
This man is
Yeah,
in
seriously,
our
how did the
care.
professor get in here?
Relax, Mr. Hartley. You are in our capable hands now.
What does he mean by that? DNA strands? Metal gears? Is he being biofused? He's being biofused now. So I assume that's what the inside perspective of the tank is. Nice touch, Paul.
Well, Mr. Hartley.
Hey, you!
You've been quite the thorn in our side. The wrench in our works. The leaves on our rails. Never one to shy away from the media, were you, Mr. Hartley?
But
always
the
another
truth is already out.
revelation about your faithful employer. Never a care for the trouble you caused, the innovations you've hampered, initiatives you've stalled, the jobs you've lost, the challenges to this island's human supremacy.
Everything's all been revealed.
We've got a very special place for you here.
I
Somewhere
What's
you
that?
can't open your
But the
big
truth's already
mouth
revealed.
or interfere anymore. And don't worry, Mr. Hartley. You're among friends here. This is where everyone ends up once they've become troublesome.
He became a truck! That's the biggest plot twist ever. Wow. Holy cow, that was amazing. Wow. Paulsvids, that was awesome.
Next week, Colonel Babar, his bloodthirsty rise to power,
Is that another
the
thing that he's gonna
genocide
make?
of the Rhinoceros Kingdom, and his ultimate demise at the hands of his own
Like,
people.
I saw a major improvement that Paul made, like with the animation, like, that was amazing. Like, I'm gonna give this video a solid 9 out of 10. Like I don't really get out of the 9, I don't really get into the 9s that much, but this was amazing. Thomas the Tank Engine, Project G-1. Is there any more? Is there anything else? Oh, there is. Let's see what's going on. Year 2069?
I don't know about this. Maybe we shouldn't be here.
Yeah, come on. No one's
Vloggers.
even been here in like 50 years.
I know, but these warning signs are here for a
Yeah,
reason.
you'll understand
Look,
why.
no one's actually seen an
Wait, what's
engine
that?
over there for ages. It'll be fine. What are you worrying about? I mean, what could happen?
Is that a trick question? We all know who that is.
Oh my god!
Diesel 10? Damn!
Oh my god!
Yes, sir, we'll be leaving right away. Thanks. Oh, man. Like, everyone that joined in Project G1, that was amazing. Ben B, Vinny Smith, Daniel T, Jacob Jarrett, Jeremy Van Horn, and Paulsvids himself. You guys were amazing. So, shout out to you guys. Like, oh my gosh, that was a really amazing, like, sequel. However, Paulsvids did state that, that he's not gonna make a third movie, so I assume this is a good, like, way to end the Shed 17 Project G1 saga. But then again, Paul can do what he wants. Now, I am going to react to the Adventures of Rolly the Coach and Thomas's PC Adventures, also by Paulsvids. So, those will be like because they're spin-off series from Shed 17. Also, this music's pretty cool. Like, this movie, like, just like Shed 17, this is a good follow-up because, like, Shed 17 and Project G1 hold a very special place in my heart because I love scary stuff. I mean, that's the reason why I read all those creepypastas for you guys and gals. Like, of course, also Shed 17 has turned into, Shed 17 has had its recent 4-year anniversary, so happy 4-year anniversary to Shed 17, and happy 1-year anniversary to Project G1. Wow, that was amazing. Such a good fan movie. Like, I don't understand why there are people that just don't like this scary stuff. I mean, seriously. Wow. So, everyone, how did you think of that? A reaction to Project G1. I mean, I can understand it was 51 minutes. Not 15, but 51 minutes, but wow, that was amazing. Oh, there go my glasses. Anyways, like, I liked how like, how Paul stated how it continues on from Shed 17. Like, it's how it opens up in Shed 17 where we saw Thomas's empty shell, like from the horror moment, like, when Thomas, like, literally breaks out when he revealed the truth inside of Shed 17. And, another thing that I liked is that they basically added, like, how they added most of, like, references to real-life people, like, you know, like Ringo Starr, the Wolverine, Margaret Thatcher, and for some reason Jimmy Savile. I don't know why Jimmy Savile, but whatever, but... And I like how they, like, basically did some of the funnier moments, like the tanks, like yelling in discomfort, like, because they were illegal experiments whenever they fire a, like, what was it, a cannonball or something like that, or just gunpowder. And I really laughed when I saw that moment where all the trains were high as F. Like, that moment just cracked me up, man. Now, the Welsh coal thing, like, I was quite surprised how they were testing on Spencer, and his eyes just, like, exploded. Like, well, not really exploded. They caught on flames, and his mouth was, like, smoking out smoke. Like, I could tell that was gonna be that's definitely gonna hurt in the morning. Like, I actually used the footage of Spencer on fire for one of my how it feels to chew 5 gum commercials that I made. And now, the next thing I would like to talk about is the creature itself, you know, Project G1. And at first, I thought it was like, you know, like, at first, it was pretty interesting how it walked like a spider. But then when I saw it had that, you know, like, that had that holster, that launcher that throws Percy at the military. I was like, okay, so then maybe it's a scorpion. But then I realized, because it had human hands, and it was like the size of Cloverfield, it was like some kind of Vermish Cloverfield hybrid humanoid creature. because it was like basically a mix of Gordon, James, and a bunch of other engines that were killed off from Shed 17 and Project G-1 earlier on. And of course, I like how that moment, how it shows all the fan art, like you know, that, like, all that fan art where, you know, like, the one where Thomas was climbing out of his shell like that was from DeviantArt. So, that's a nice touch as well, like, because I could tell that Shed 17 is pretty famous in the Thomas fan community. And basically, I like Shed 17. It's a really good movie, and its sequels, it takes the icing on the cake. Anyways, so, what would you guys and gals like me to react to next? And I hope you guys have a happy Halloween. This is Geoffrey Sambursky, and I am out.